Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome again to this wonderful YouTube channel, which is unique, where you guys will get to learn how to get really high marks at your GCSE exams. And it's our real pleasure and privilege to have MBP back in our studio today, filming on how to do 4 markers. This is a 4-mark question.
Well, good afternoon, everybody in Shell RS. And as the Rev said, the focus today is the 4-mark question. Now, these 4-mark questions, if you look in your textbook, in both beliefs and practices, are divided into what we call influence questions and contrasting questions. These are all 4 markers. Now, what do I mean when I say this? Well, first of all, let's go with the influence questions. These are the questions where you show your understanding of the religion that you studied, in this case Islam, and how a person's beliefs has an influence on their lives. So essentially, it's clear then that when people believe things, their thoughts, words, actions become shaped by their beliefs. And this type of question, which is like an influence question, is wanting you to show that in your answer. Now, it might look a little bit scary at first, but if you get used to these style of questions, they do become straightforward. Okay, so essentially, you will have a belief section and a practices section. They're always going to be worth 4 marks, and they always ask you to explain in these kind of ways. So the wording is going to be something like, explain 2 ways in which dot dot dot, followed by something like a belief in or learning about, and you finish off with something like it influences a Muslim today. So those are the kind of influence questions. If you turn to the next section in practices on page 146 in your textbook, you have what's called the contrasting questions. These are also 4 markers. Now, these questions are where you show your understanding of the diversity in the religion. Now, you guys are clever. You know already that within Islam, there's at least 2 distinct groups, the Sunnis and the Shias. And obviously not everyone believes the same in that religion, or perhaps they do and believe things a little bit differently, or they practice things a little bit differently. So now in your answer, you are going to have to show how they contrast, how they are different in their practices. These are always worth 4 marks, and you always are basically getting to ask, or you need to contrast those 2 practices. Okay, so how will the wording be there? Well, the wording will always begin with explain 2 contrasting Muslim dot 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 views on or about, or ways in which, or the rituals associated with. So that might seem all a bit confusing at the moment, but what the Rev and I are going to do now is take a typical 4 marker. It's on page 146 in your textbook, and in the example we're going to do is this one. Explain 2 contrasting Muslim views about the importance of Sawm. I'm going to pass over to the Rev, who's going to take you through it.
Excellent. And I was just going to say one thing about 4 markers is that I don't know what you think, Miss, but I think once we get to 4 markers, the party's over. Actually, it's these are genuinely harder questions, yeah. So you can't mess around with this, and also you can't really bluff these questions. You have to know the answers. I mean, what we can teach you is the technique, which you can apply time and time again. But in the 4 markers is, there needs to be a certain content. I mean, with 12 markers, there may be a way, in which case that you can say certain things, but actually these 4 markers and 5 markers, it really does pay to know your stuff.
I think that's absolutely right. I love the expression that you use, the party is over. Yes, guys, the Rev is right. The 1 and 2 markers are the party. This is really now the important bit, the 4, 5, and the 12. So the Rev is absolutely right. You've got to know your stuff. You've got to explain. You've got to give detail. You've got to give some examples. And you've got to show the examiner that you know how Islam, as one of the religions, influences Muslims today, how it's important, or indeed the contrasting beliefs within that religion. Okay, are we ready to go?
Yeah, I think, and so when we start with this question, the first thing you must do with a 4 marker is you've got to think what the question's asking. So let's read it out. So explain two contrasting Muslim views about the importance of Sawm. Now, I think, first of all, if I was trying to answer this question, Miss, I don't know about what you think, is I'd want to know what the key words are here, what the key words are. What do you think?
Well, you're absolutely right. If it was me, I'd be getting the old highlighter out, or I just underline the keywords. For me, the first word is the key word. It's what we call a trigger word. Explain. And a trigger word essentially triggers you into understanding how you are to write. In other words, you've got to give depth and detail. You've got to explain. You've got to give examples. This is not brief here. This is not give or name. This is explain.
After that, I think this word is quite important, don't you?
Absolutely. Contrasting. You are expected to know the religion inside out. You can't give two similar beliefs, otherwise, the question would be worded differently. It is deliberately asking you to explain two contrasting ways that Muslims practice whatever thing is being asked. In this case, Sawm, one of the 5 pillars. Of course, it's the fourth pillar.
But instantly, when I'm thinking about the word contrasting, because this is about Islam, I'm thinking into my head Sunni and Shia. Is that what you would be thinking, Miss?
Absolutely spot on. Sunni and Shia. To be honest, in Islam, you just need to talk about those two groups, and you know you're going to get your 4 marks or your 5 marks. There are more groups, but in the syllabus, you're only required to know the two main ones, Sunni and Shia.
And then we go to this keyword, Psalm, which really you have to know what that means actually.
Well, that is the key word, if you like, in this question. It's a specialist word. It would come under the SPAG in the sense that it's a technical word, although you wouldn't get SPAG marks for a 4 mark question. I have to make that clear. But going back to the word Sawm, you need to know it's the Arabic word for fasting. Fasting takes place in the Muslim month of Ramadan, which is the 9th month. It is the fourth pillar of Islam. Boom. You've already made some facts there. You've already explained.
Now, guys, what I want you to do at this point is I want you to pause this video at this point, and I want you to try and answer this yourself. Now, if you pause it, if it's a 4 marker, you think maybe a mark a minute, but I think you should spend 5 minutes now. If you pause the video, just spend 5 minutes, try to write your own answer on it, and then don't look at ours yet, and then we can compare the two and see what you think. What do you think?
Rev, I think you're absolutely right. A 4 marker should be about 5 minutes in length. We spoke last week about a 1 mark being a couple of seconds, a 2 mark no more than about a minute, a couple of seconds, whatever. The 4 marker is, as the Rev says, detail. The party's over.
Brilliant. Well, if you pause the video now, we'll come back later. And welcome back. Hopefully you guys done really well. Well, let's see how we started our first paragraph. So I'll read it out. Sunni Muslims believe that Sawm, or fasting, should be done in a month of fasting called Ramadan, which allows Muslims to focus on the important things of life and to prioritize their religion. Now, if you just put this, you've got an undeveloped point, which would actually get you 1 mark.
Agreed. Already, that's looking good, Rev. I'm liking your style, by the way.
But this is not enough, is it? And we'd be very disappointed if this is all you said.
I would literally cry into my marking and have to probably take another glass of wine to, I don't know, drown my sorrows.
Excellent. Well, let's carry on. And so this is the undervalue. How would you think you might want to explain that? You guys also might want to pause the video here and work out how we actually continued from this point. Okay, guys, well, let's have a look. So in order to explain this, we put this enables them to become better Muslims by devoting more time to Allah, by reading the Quran, praying, and going to the mosque. So you've got your point, and then you've got your explanation. This is definitely 1 point, but they want two contrasting views. So if we left it at this point here, I think it would be on 2 out of 4.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the first part of the question. You've just given us a contrasting point. You've made a point and you've developed it. Now we've got to go onto the other side in terms of let's look at the Shias and what they have to say in answering the importance of Sawm.
Ready, guys? I'm sure you've got your own answer. You might want to be comparing it at this point, but let's see how we started. On the other hand, Shia Muslims also believe that Sawm is one of their 10 obligations. Shia Muslims, through Sawm, should concentrate on giving practical help to the poor.
Well, you've got 3 marks there in total, Rev. You've made another undeveloped point. It is a point, but we've got to kind of back that up now.
Now, some of you guys might want to pause this video at this point and try to work out how you might develop this. So I'm going to give you a few seconds. And welcome back again, and hopefully you've now had a try at developing this answer. Let's see how we did it. This is important because it helps them grow spiritually and live a better life, enabling them to become stronger persons and reject evil, munkar. This belief also leads to a realization of what their own lives are like and serves as a reminder to help them focus on the afterlife, Akira, and the judgment awaiting them. Now, I think probably if we had stopped after Munkar, we probably do have 4 at this point because we've given a point with an explanation. But just to be certain, we've just added an extra little bit of points, and it might also help you to see 2 different potential explanations that if you forget one, you might remember the other. What do you think, Miss?
I think it's absolutely a perfect answer. If I was marking this and it was one of my fantastic shell set, hello, this is a shout out to MVP shell set, the best set, I have to say. Sorry, Rev. If I got a response like this, they would definitely get 4 out of 4.
Excellent. I think it would certainly be very 4 out of 4. I also think at this point, though, you've got to watch the time. If you wrote this answer, but you spent 12 minutes on it, that's bad news. You must make sure you keep to the time of the 4 markers and don't spend any more than 5 minutes.
Correct. Guys, listen to the Rev. He's a sound guy. He's giving you some fantastic advice here. No more than 5 minutes. I can hear you say, yes, miss, no more than 5 minutes.
Well, this video is already 11, so I think it's about time to stop at this point. Do you have any final words?
As always, I'm wishing everybody in Shell at Bradfield doing RS the very best. We want you to do your very best. I'm hoping that these videos are leading you down that path. Just listen to what we're saying and try and put it into practice and just get into that textbook. Go with a friend, test each other, make up your own questions, practice them. Just do everything that we've said and you will do well.
Great, guys. So if you want to like this video, please click like down on below. And if you want to comment, just put a comment in the video.
And definitely I want some comments on my shell set, please. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us in this video. And I do hope that you guys do well in your exams. And hopefully this will help you. If you want to give us any more feedback of any question that you'd like us to attempt that we haven't done before, we'll show you how to get full marks. Well, this is the Revs class. Over and out. See you guys soon. Bye.